What's going on? Looking out here, another little therapy session. But in this one, I'm gonna try to incorporate something little more different, a little deeper. In the scriptures it says that you should practice what you preach. Paraphrasing it there, but we're supposed to confess our faults to one another. Kind of as an example, right? So somebody, and I'm sure many people do in many ways, but it's not easy. Knowing I'm gonna upload this as a freaking computer, so like whoever wants to look at it can look at it and use it against me if they wish. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of the vulnerable position that in order to be under the shadow of God's wing, or the wing of the Almighty, I guess you got to make yourself a little vulnerable. It's not just a suggestion. it's it's kind of like orders, and but it's like because it's like because pride comes before a fall, and it's like pride becomes from a blindness, and it's normally a blindness about yourself. It's the mote in thy eye. Cast the mote out your own eye before you, so you can see clearly enough to get something out of somebody else's eye, right? So it's kind of like I'm just this assistant here, and in a way, in a metaphor, Christ would be the surgeon, and he just asked me to grab him tools, and I'm not supposed to be like, no, I think you should use this one, Jesus. No, man, here, try this homemade one that I made. You look, slipping in my own kind of like, look, modifications. See, he's kind of like what he says, like, you got to build off what Christ's foundation, but he's like, be careful how you build on, because it's like, you don't want to cause any, negative effects towards the, towards the thing that you're building upon. Anyway, it's like throughout my whole freaking life, I'm coming to this realization, like, that I'm a freaking suffered a lot of abuse from especially from freaking, it seems like, women. The most abuse that I probably suffer from men is maybe emotional distance that some men had, especially like my grandfather. He wasn't all the way there, man. He was kind of like, his attention was always on something else. He'd be around you, but only about 5% of 100% of the time could he engage in conversation. It was like he was always out there, like in the books, in the news, in the freaking shortwave radio, in a book or something. But but when it comes to the women, they're always paying attention, and they're like freaking constantly stalking and hoovering and like making sure they're reinforcing this kind of like these traumas, because I kind of realize it's kind of like it's like when you wound a person, like there's this scripture in the Bible where it's like God had to break Jacob's leg, and that's because they break the sheep that goes astray's leg. Well, not Jacob's leg, but the sheep that goes astray, you got to break its leg so that it stops getting too far from you. You know what I'm saying? And in a way, but what if, it's like, they had to do that at some point in time, right? And then they get addicted to that because they see there's like power there when they're, in other words, what I'm saying is they intentionally try to wound you to make you dependent on them. You know what I'm saying? On these people, in a way. And it's not just any one person here, dude. This is like, I caught it from a lot of different people, like including like teachers. Women teachers were freaking pretty cruel. And like I said, and when it comes to men teachers, they would bully you a little bit, but here's the thing. They didn't do none of the dirty work. In a way, it was almost like they'd sick their little minions on you, and they would look the other way. And there's the sin of omission like, look, I don't know, man. Anyway, so there's kind of abuse there. It's kind of like, when you need when it's like people who look the other way about justice, or they feel that that's their justice, and they like look took a part in it in a way, in this community bullying and this kind of hazing rituals of society. And and this teaches you to tolerate this freaking abuse. And and I realize I kind of have this freaking sampsahab kind of complex. That's kind of Ahab and Samson, because it's I've tolerated these people's abuse, like, and it's like once again, not just one person, man, but just societal abuse now, because it's like I realize it's all interconnected and intertwined, and it's like it's like they're trying to capitalize on the fact that people are wounded, or they try to they pretend to be like who they think that you want them to be, and that makes these people really really like conniving, because they kind of cast this illusion, like look, like this random person tries to put on the mask of your mother, you know what I'm saying, for a second, and use it for some kind of like punishment, or an old girlfriend, a relationship, like all of a sudden it just comes right out of them, like look, and they're like a chameleon, using these little props and these weapons and these control tactics and this manipulation, and you start to just say yes, man, so that because they'll make you they'll make you miserable, and that's kind of why you comply. It's not because you're weak. And also, after all this illusions they cast on you, and all these faces and all these different masks that the borderline narcissists, Delilah Bell, freaking reptilian shapeshifter, freaking skinwalkers, vampire, psychic vampires, man. And I mean, it's like man, I've seen like so much of it, and I also I've been trained, because I seen this societally like done to people when I was growing up as well, and it's because this they need sampsahab, these types, like look, these guys that are always like looking to Captain Save-ems, like and then these women put on this victim damsel in distress, and after a while, after you did that, and then come to find out this chick wasn't even worth it, now you're in this loop where you're constantly running from this relationship to save one woman, and then that starts to go bad because you find out you saved her, and you found out like now, like look, that wasn't what you thought, and now you're running around trying to rekindle some new thing with this other one that appears like, like this is the wicked witch of the east and the the nice witch of the other direction, right? But come to find out, no, this is the same old bitchcraft, and it's societal, man. I mean, and it jumps to, like, from the, like, there's no boundary to the age that it can, how low it can go, or how long it can go, man. And it's quite unfortunate, man, because it comes with a lot of abuse and damage, and all that constant abuse. It causes problems in your mind, your psychological judgment. You start to doubt yourself from all the gaslighting. Like, you'll be like, man, dude, am I just freaking psycho and delusional? And look, dude, and by listening to them, in a way, you do kind of become delusional, because you start to believe their lies a little bit about yourself, and because you're disconnected from yourself, you're cut off from yourself a little bit through these games, right? And then this is all done intentional too, man. Like, because for some reason this competition, this whole Lilith thing, where they want to dominate and be on top, not be go according to the way things were structured and ordered from the beginning, that it kind of ruins, kind of taints everything. So, and you know, and it's kind of, a strong person isn't easy to manipulate. So through this long-term war of attrition abuse, you'll become easier to manipulate. And that's kind of why they do it on purpose. And it's like, and it's kind of like, sometimes I wonder if they're doing it on purpose or are they just doing it because it's habit. And they do it almost out of second nature because it's so ingrained in the Willie Lynch programming for all of us to hate each other and ultimately mutually destroy each other. I mean, that's kind of the Samson and Delilah situation is they mutually destroyed one another and all the way around. You know what I'm saying? And it's that's kind of like a, oh, fine, if we can't have a winner, nobody wins. And that's kind of winning. And that's just a freaking, that's Romeo and Juliet. And look, it ain't got to be like that. You know, and it's, you know, when it comes to the Jezebel situation here, you know, it's like, yeah, man, it's these campaigns, man, that these people do. So it, like, look, they bring all these other people in. So in a way, they're using the public or the society, the audience. And that is really like detrimental, man, because like, look, you can't take stuff back after you go so far. It's like, look, so it's kind of like, that's why it's so freaking, it's hard to recover from these kind of things, but, and it's easy to get caught in the loop and just constantly chasing the carrot, or you get hit with the stick. But that's like, you know, it's just a waste of time, man, basically. And it sucks to have to realize that, like, you wasted all your time and energy, and you're just kind of like, you know, not getting anything friggin' accomplished that was good anyway. It's like, actually, it's kind of, the bad just kind of snowballs. You know what I'm saying? The longer you let this stuff go unchecked, or if you start going, yes, ma'am, just to get them to shut up. You know what I'm saying? Either way, no, because look, they know you ain't paying attention anymore. So now they get more like tricky on how to, like, basically take the attention. Like, look, you're gonna pay me some attention or else. Like, look, dude, and then they start setting you up, man, for all these games, and it's just like, dude, a kingdom divided against itself shall not stand. So it's like, dude, if our personal relationship is this, like, you're too self-absorbed, man, that everything's got to be competition and some kind of game and some kind of, like, ploy to one-up somebody, and they just can't help it. It's so deeply ingrained in them, where I do the minimal contact, man, with some people now. I mean, because that's the first step of after you figure out that, hey, I've got sampsahab, and I'm programmed now, sensitize all this abuse, and it makes me avoidant and susceptible to manipulation and people pleasing, and also tolerating things I should not freaking tolerate from people. This is also in Revelations. You know, you tolerate them women trying to dictate to you what's what in your life, and it's not a good thing. You know, or he says that Jezebel, call herself a prophetess. But I'm not, that sounds to me like that could be referring to some kind of spirit or principality, you know, or a societal program, some kind of archetype, this whore Madonna, mother goddess, triple goddess, Greek mythology, it's totally anti of what the Bible stands for, man. But yeah, man, sometimes you do kind of, I do feel these spirits on the move, this kind of, this enemy, this adversary is trying to like tear down everything that you built, you know, and everything that was good that was already built. They seem to be trying to tear down, man, and it's crazy. But anyway.